Okay, hi. Hello, Moshe. Welcome to J Commerce. If I can start by asking you, what do you actually do? What is your profession? What do you do?
Okay, so I'm a chartered surveyor, and we had the opportunity to set up a new practice a couple of years ago. The funniest thing was we actually set it up a couple of weeks before COVID,
Wow.
and that came with its own set of challenges, obviously. But Baruch Hashem, we managed to um, get our way through the COVID period. Business was obviously slow, but Baruch Hashem, we picked up one or two new clients that were giving us a steady stream of work, and that kept us busy. That kept us ticking over. So that was a big help during those uncertain times.
Wow. So this new company, this is your company together with other people, or you work for someone else?
Yeah, this is a company that Yoni Posnheimer and myself set up going back a couple of years ago. We just saw the need to perhaps branch out slightly, and it came with new opportunities. Obviously, there was tremendous challenges with setting up a new business, which we'll come on to shortly. But on the whole, it's been a very rewarding and enriching experience. Obviously, having to learn new tactics with running a business as we're going along, but again, I did have the benefit of being involved in the cost shop as well. So, that I've been involved with that for a long time. So that's also that aided any challenges, that assisted with any hurdles and challenges that we met, as we were setting up the business. So yeah.
Right. And when you started out, kind of, what was your vision? What was your how did you approach the whole general idea of starting this business? What was your sort of first principles that you sort of worked from?
Okay, what was really fundamental was setting up a new practice was be able to advise and look after clients' property interests, and assist them in any of their decision-making processes when it comes to acquisitions, property acquisitions, and general looking after their own properties. Sorry.
Right. And in approaching the building of your business and in sort of managing your business, from its inception, as you said, it was in challenging times. But did you ever actually feel this challenge is just too hard? This building of this business, did you have moments where you thought this is not going to happen?
There were moments that were obviously worrying, just in terms of being able to provide an adequate service to our clients, but also getting instructions, especially as it was during the COVID period. But Baruch Hashem, I have a business partner, and that was always very useful to go into business with somebody, because you can bounce ideas off each other, and you can sort of lean on each other when it comes to discussing various aspects of growing the business and various business ideas. And that's I would always recommend having somebody to be able to talk to, or somebody to be able to bounce ideas off. And I think that's really, really important. Even if a person doesn't have a business partner, but a person should always have a business mentor to be able to guide and assist them.
I find that really interesting that you talk of a partner in such glowing terms. I mean, and so long may it last. But it's just I've picked up from different people. I myself never been in a partnership, but so much negativity around the concept of partnerships, and all the different tension that can bring to a business, etc. You're saying you've managed that particularly well, or it's just a case of fundamentally partners a good thing, partnership?
Partnerships every partnership must come with come with challenges, but I think it's really fundamental if everybody understands their role within the business, and one isn't stepping on each other's toes, then one can grow. You can grow the business much better if everybody has an understanding of what each other's roles are, and that comes together to provide a much more wholesome and holistic service to the clients. And I think that's something in the day and age that we live in. Clients really want a one-stop shop for all their requirements in whatever industry you are. I happen to be in the property industry, but if you're in the wholesale industry, you've got to be able to provide your clients with the full service. And I think that's really, really important. People really want that, especially as people are so short of time generally.
And regarding the partnership, you found that, you know, being able to exchange ideas, to bounce off each other, to feed off each other's energy was an advantage to you as a mentor, maybe in an external way, you know, to someone.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. And also when it comes to the professional side of the business, if you don't have an answer to certain elements, then you can either discuss that with your partner, or we have outside sources that we can tap into to be able to make sure that we always come back to the client with the right advice. That's really important. We're all growing as individuals, and you know, we don't always know the answer to everything, and we're not expected to know the answer. But the world is your oyster, and people have to learn to tap into other people, be it in the community or be it in the wider world, to gain knowledge, and knowledge is very, very powerful.
Well, that leads us nicely on to the next question. I was going to ask you about networking. What's your sort of business position and focus on networking? How do you go about networking? How important is it to you?
Okay, so networking is extremely important. With regards to instructions, we have a reasonable source of instructions. So I haven't focused so much on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is an extremely powerful tool for being able to pick up new clients and engage with the wider network of whatever industry you may be in. So I would highly recommend that people utilize this really, really powerful tool. And then it's all about speaking to people in the industry. So we have a group of friends, and we're always constantly discussing different instructions, and people we have a friendship network that we provide, and help each other with different instructions. So building networks is the only way to grow a business. And social media, whilst it's not the be all and end all, it plays a big focus on being able to grow your network and expand and tap into new markets, which is what we all need to do in this difficult economic time. So
do you manage your company social media, or do you park it out with someone externally, or is it just kind of on a post by need basis, basically? When you need to kind of engage, you do.
It's more of an ad hoc basis. It is looked after by somebody in the office, but we have recently reached out to a third-party company who are looking into spreading our network further via various social media platforms. And yes, it is expensive, but we genuinely feel it's a worthwhile step to make.
And how do you evaluate that sort of the value of these sort of networking, whether it's with social media, whether it's in person? I mean, we just had this week in J-Trade in London. I don't know if you went or not, but these sort of live networking events. How do you evaluate the value of these networks? Is it decided by how much business connection comes from, how much new business is generated from that particular endeavor, or is it more generally promoting, your company name, making sure more people know about you?
I could understand for startups why it's all about instructions and obtaining new business, because fundamentally it's what keeps the cogs going. But we've never been so focused on that. With us, it's more about just trying to slowly and incrementally just trying to get our name out there. We don't push ourselves onto clients. We just try and provide our clients with a a reasonable service, and hopefully, as quick a turnaround as possible. And through that, we've had recommendations from other people, and that's really the best way to build a business.
They say that you can never overestimate the power of the word of mouth and that on the business that brings. So drawing out more generally, going away from your personal experience, but drawing perhaps from your own experiences, if you were advising someone who's starting out, what would a person need in order to get a business off the ground? What would you say is important for him to have clear or in place?
I think what's really important is to have an understanding of your target market, and have an understanding of your business, and understand how the cogs of the business of your industry works. That's really, really important. And once you have that, you need to have a business mentor, or somebody to go and to be able to speak over with just the setting up of the business, because obviously you need to set up a new company. And some of these things can be quite challenging for people who perhaps aren't involved with accountants or people who can deal with the finance side of matters. And then my advice to people genuinely is to throw yourself in, because the more passion that you put into your business, the more chance you've got of making a real success of it. If you don't throw yourself into it, and yes, you're going to make mistakes, but learn from your mistakes. The biggest entrepreneurs and the biggest and the CEOs of the largest companies in the world made huge mistakes when they first started out. And the trick is to brush yourself off, stand up again, and start again. I've had plenty of business ideas and ideas that we've tried and perhaps haven't worked to the success that I've wanted, and you just have to move on and either rebrand it or perhaps use new avenues to tap into. But a person you can't afford to get despondent. A person has to be positive and use that vibrancy to really get that business off the ground. And there's nobody in the world that can't make it work. Nobody.
So how does one recognize when they are wasting their time and it's time to move on to something else?
Well, for that, I suppose you need to look at the bottom line. If you're not making enough money, then you need to sit down with somebody who's perhaps got more experience than you in running businesses, and explain to them the challenges that you're facing with regards to this business, and then work out whether there is a market, a sufficient market for you to tap into and earn a living and build your business from it. There are plenty of people out there that can help, that are happy to look at business models, are happy to look at turnover, and even quite often you can have excellent turnover, but if your operating costs are too high, then that's going to affect the bottom line. So by squeezing your operating costs slightly, by bringing them down, and then you can be back in profit, and all of a sudden the business is a whole different proposition. So my advice to people is really to engage with your business at all times, and then seek external advice. There's plenty of amazing people out there that are willing to help. We tapped into some incredible resources, incredible people, and they guided us and they helped us, and we're still learning. Life's genuinely all about learning.
I think that's really important. And before going ahead, obviously, there's a certain amount of research that's required. You mentioned target market. How would a person go about sort of doing the research required before moving ahead into a business?
It's a good question. I mean, every industry is obviously different, but you fundamentally need to look at your competition. Don't dwell on your competition at all. The most successful businesses are the businesses that don't look at the competition, that just focus on building a great brand and building around their own business and making sure that you're providing an excellent service. Don't keep focusing on your competition. It's very, very it's very, very reactive. So every market's different. How do you tap into that? You have to speak to people and look at the market. You really have to study the industry. It doesn't take long. There's plenty of resources on the internet. There's plenty of people that can help in each specific industry. And then always, my recommendation to you is always just try and find a niche, and just be the best at that niche. And that way you'll build an amazing business like that.
Did you have a plan B when you started on this business? It sort of in case it all goes pear-shaped.
I'm being truthful. No, I didn't. That's a good question. I didn't have a plan B.
Advantage or a disadvantage to have a plan B?
I think it's always good business acumen to have a plan B. But I suppose personally, I just wasn't willing. I didn't want it to fail. I didn't. Yeah, I knew there was going to be challenges, and there is challenges. There's always challenges. But we have to be positive people, and we have to believe that, as long as we do the right thing and build slowly, don't try and build too quickly. It doesn't work. It never does work. As long as you build slowly, then there's no reason why a person can't have, success. But success is measured. Everyone measures success differently, but the most important thing is just to earn a living and be able to support our families. I think that's really important.
And in approaching a business, how many times did you have to stop and pivot from your original idea to something else? And I don't mean this particular business that you're up to now. I'm talking even if you reach back to when you started out, even in your choice of career and along your whole journey of work experience. Or has
I think you're bringing up a very, very strong point. And I think as people get older, you sort of find you are going to pivot, because fundamentally you're going to see that, I enjoy doing this element of the business, but I don't enjoy doing something else. You're naturally going to gear towards the area of the business or the area of life that interests you, that gets you engaged. So we all pivot, and I think people really need to go with the flow with that. I think if people enjoy doing what they're doing, then you don't really feel like you're working. You're enjoying it. I think people have to have that flexibility now more than ever. The economy just needs the economy is flexible. We need to be flexible with that. The workspace is flexible. Bosses need to learn to be more flexible, including myself. That's just the nature. That's just the nature of it. And take everybody with you. That's really, really important. Really, really important.
You mentioned a number of times the importance and the value of having a business mentor, of talking to people, of hearing, other people's input into whether it's internally or externally to a business. But how do you set aside the good old critic and skeptic, or a type of person who's going to feed you negativity, whatever you ask or tell him, versus the professional, valuable advice and someone worthwhile listening to?
Everybody who you tap into for advice, there's fundamentally two different types of people in the world. There's the optimist and there's the pessimist. You can put most people into either camp. And even the pessimistic person's got plenty of good points and plenty of valuable experience that you can tap into. And as a person gets maybe slightly older and a bit more settled, then you take out the good points from everybody. Everybody's got a valuable insight, a valuable method. We can all tap into that. And I think if people appreciate that, everybody is a sum of their experiences, then you take what you need to take. But also be mindful that not everybody's advice is always correct. So, you take the information that you feel is valuable to growing your business, and utilize that. Grab it and take it and use it. But the information that's not good, will listen to it and park it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. What does it mean to build a brand, a business brand? What does that look like to you? What is it? What's involved in building a brand? Is it?
Building a brand, obviously we're still at the initial stages of building our own brand. So I can't, there's plenty of people out there that have got great experience in building a brand. But I think where it's all going is almost elegant in its simplicity. Building a brand is very much nowadays just about giving over a very, very, very simple tactile message about your business, about what you do. We have information overload, and therefore the most successful brand building opportunities that anybody can have is just about engaging with your customer base, but doing it in a very, very simple, effective, and positive way. That's really it. I mean, I don't think it's any more complicated than that. In my very, very humble opinion, genuinely, I'm not really I don't really have the right to talk about building a brand, because I'm still very new at it. So,
and you mentioned a number of times in different answers how the focus always has to be on providing a good service, making sure your customers are happy. So it would seem to me that that's kind of a fundamental importance as part of what you do. How do you go about making your customers happy? What's important when it comes to looking after your clients, after your customers?
It's funny I say how important it is, because it's important. I don't always manage to do it. I genuinely don't. But at the end of the day, when people come to businesses for a service, they want a good service for a good price and a quick turnaround. And I think those three drivers are really fundamental to people having that success in business.
No, that's very fair. So moving into the last few minutes, I just want to ask you more generally, a serious growing business takes up a lot of one person's time and life. And what do you suggest? How's the best way for a person to balance his work and life responsibilities?
It's very, very difficult, because what's really, really important, I genuinely feel that if a person has that correct work-life balance, then his business will thrive from that, because happy people sell. It's a famous mantra, and that's really, really important, that people are able to work, enjoy their work, but then obviously you've got that work-life balance. So when you finish your shift, or when you finish your work, whatever industry you might be in, to be able to go home and switch off. And I think that's really, really important. I firmly believe that when people do switch off after hours, well, then they work better. If people are just constantly on their emails and running around just making sure the client their business is running, well, then they're not working properly. We have to learn how to work hard and how to, I won't say play hard, but I'm saying you'll have to learn how to work hard and obviously balance that with enjoyment out of life. At the end of the day, most people, we work to live, and not live to work. And I think that's really, really important, that people keep that balance. And that was something that COVID taught a lot of people, how to refocus their priorities in life. And that's something that I personally am trying to hold on to. I'm not always successful at it, but it's really, really important, genuinely important.
What would you do different if you started again? And again, I don't mean this particular business. I'm talking, overall your career, working life. Might be nothing. It's fine.
I genuinely enjoy doing what I'm doing. I genuinely do. I can't be thankful enough for what I have got. Would I change things? I definitely would. I'd like to be just, I'd like to go back to the more simplistic model of working. But again, that comes with age. I don't think, as when you start out 10, 15 years ago, you have a completely different approach to life. As you grow older, we all perhaps change our priorities and calm down a bit. And through maturity comes a whole different change of aspect and change of outlook on business.
That's fair. Final question. What single piece of advice would you give to others starting out in business?
My single piece of advice is don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to call in. I like to say call in the cavalry, to go and get advice from people that are either close to you or business acquaintances or people that you respect out there. There's plenty of really genuinely amazing people out there that all really want to help people build their businesses and build their brands, and there's people out there that can help you. If you've got a problem with any with setting up the company, well, then you go and find an accountant that can help you. If you've got problems in individual elements of the business, well, then go and find people that can assist. Don't be afraid. I was afraid for far too long to perhaps set up on my own and finish what I wanted to do. But once I've done it, it's incredibly liberating. It really is, and I feel that because of that, I think it's really, really important that people who are in industry and are in business and have their own practices, whatever it might be, whatever industry they might be, it's really important that they help the next generation, because the next generation need that assistance. They need that help. There's plenty of great people out there with great ideas, youngsters with amazing ideas, and they just need people to help them, set it up. And once you give them a little hand, they're away. They're away, and I think that's something that everybody plays, that everybody needs to take responsibility for.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for joining us at J-Commerce.